Welcome back into the Racing Pigeon Podcast, Season 1, Episode 14, and we've got another great interview for you today, I believe. Is that right, Kevin?
Yep. Yeah. So we're deviating from our normal format of, beginning information today to
Do
bring
we
you a
have a
little
normal format
interview.
at this point?
What's that?
Do we have a normal format at this point?
Well, if you ask our listeners, probably not. We probably bounce all over
I'm
the
okay with
place.
that. Hey,
I
makes it
know. I
interesting. You
am
never
too.
know what's coming next.
Yeah. Variety's the spice of life. Isn't that what
There
they
you
say?
go.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, we got a
And
good interview today with Mr. Shang Vang. He is the owner of the Minnesota Classic One Loft race. So we're just going to get to know him a little better, his background in pigeons, and then we'll talk about some changes to his race. This is starting or entering into his third season.
okay.
So he's made some changes. His race has grown by leaps and bounds every year. Um, and I think it's one of the better races in the United States. If you're going to
Okay.
get into a one loft race, I think it's one of the best to get into. I've been really impressed with the job he's done. I've had birds there last year, and I'm sending more this year. So
Okay.
we're going to talk to him.
Sounds good. And next week we'll maybe come back with our original format. But as always, if you want to reach out
Never
to us,
know.
come if you want to reach out to us, racingpigeonpodcast at gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you and let us know what would you like for us to do a segment on. We'd like to hear about it. All right, let's hear from one of our sponsors, and we are still looking for sponsors, but we're here for one of them, and then we'll jump into the interview.
Electrofly Plus. Champions take flight with Electrofly Plus, a fully water-soluble supplement with vitamins, electrolytes, and avian-specific direct-fed probiotics built for serious fanciers. Each serving delivers 19 billion probiotics with essential electrolytes and vitamins to support hydration, gut balance, and recovery. Used during training, transport, heat, breeding, weaning, or any stressful period when birds need extra support. Simply mix in drinking water. Clean, simple, effective. Follow at Electrofly Company on social media and order online at jeds.com, pigeonmart.com, or foyspetsupplies.com, or pick it up at any of those locations. Electrofly Plus. Champions take flight. All right, welcome back to our first segment here on Racing Pigeon Podcast. And as I said in our intro, we are very happy to be joined by Shang Vang, who is up in the great state of Minnesota. I hear it's nice and warm up there these days, Shang.
Yeah, really warm.
Really warm, right?
Yeah.
So Shang, for people that don't know you or anything about you, tell us how did you first get into the pigeon sport of this wonderful game that we all play? How old were you? Where were you? What brought you into the fold?
Okay. Well, the sport itself, I mean, just like everybody, it's a story. We had pigeons when we were kids, but I don't want to start from there. I'll just start from when I started having actual racing pigeon I was probably, I don't know, 18, 19. And, I just went to a local guy that had birds and I went to his loft and started cleaning his loft. And from there, he just said, hey, whatever bird you want, just grab him. I'm going to go train the birds. He left me alone at the loft.
Oh, wow.
And, I didn't know any better, so I didn't grab any racing pigeons. I grabbed like the featherfoots and all the fancy birds. And
Oh, he had fancy pigeons too.
yeah, and then after a while, that's how, I started where he came back home. I saw the birds returning home and I was just fascinated by that. And that's how I kind of snowballed into the racing sport, of pigeons. Yeah.
And was that up there in Minnesota?
Yeah, that was up in Minnesota back where, when I was living in the cities in St. Paul there.
Okay.
Yeah, I was probably maybe half a mile from him, half a mile to 2 miles away from him. So
Okay.
that's how I got started. Yeah.
So what was the first year you actually raced on your own,
Um,
out of your own loft?
wow, that was in '97 is when I first joined. I think it was a St. Paul club,
Okay.
St. Paul Racing Pigeon Club at that time.
Okay.
And then I flew for 2 years. So I joined in '97, flew in '98 and '99. And then, I was still young. I was married with 2 kids. And then I went back to school, got my degree and all that. And I kind of left the sport. And then I never got back into it, but I always, it was always in the back of my mind. I always drove by his house and, I talked to him during the winter time when it's slow, when I know he ain't training birds or nothing. And then,
Hmm.
I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go get just one bird, right?
Oh, one bird.
Yeah, yeah,
Sure.
and then you know how, yeah, no, and then you know how that happens. I get one bird, and then I just start building a little loft, and then you get a couple more birds, and then he said, why don't you just come back into racing? I'm not, he's gotten older,
Hmm.
and he said, I'll just breed you birds and you fly, and that's how it started again, and that's when I went back to join the club in 2013. So
2013. Okay.
yeah, so I took a
Okay.
long break in between. You know what I mean? So
Interesting. Yeah, it's
yeah,
funny. Your story is very similar to a lot of pigeon people.
yeah,
They fly when they're younger, and then something happens. They have to step away for a
right,
while.
yeah,
But like we've talked about this on the podcast before. Once you get the bug,
oh yeah,
once you've experienced the thrill of like waiting for the birds to come home on race day, you just
yeah, yeah,
can't get it out of your head. I
right,
mean,
yep,
it's just such a thrill. All right,
yeah.
so 2013, you're back in it. Did you have success immediately, or how did you
You
fly? I
know,
mean,
you
it's
know what? I didn't because when I was flying in 98, 99, there we didn't use the dark system. We didn't use any. It was just all natural.
okay.
So when I came back in 2013, everybody had incorporated the dark system and the light system and all that,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I got my butt whooped. I mean, and I was like, "What's going on?" What I mean, I can't be this bad, right?
Oh,
So then the season ended, and then I learned from some of the folks at the club. There's systems now that they fly and all that, and good thing for the internet. I went online and just kind of researched all dark system, light system, and then I picked up the dark system, which works better up here.
yeah.
And then I started winning back races and being more competitive, and that's how it went. So
All
you
right.
know,
Did you find a certain family of birds that you prefer,
you
or?
know what? To be honest, I wasn't so big on strains or family of birds back then.
Uh-huh.
I was just more focused on what was flying good here,
Okay.
and I got most of my birds from my mentor.
Okay.
And I never really looked at. He didn't keep pedigrees. He didn't.
Oh, he
You
was
know, he
old
did.
school.
Yeah, he's old school. He was. I mean, he was like 65 when he was mentoring me, even back in '97.
Oh, wow.
He was an old guy. So I didn't. I wasn't a blood or strain or anything. I just flew what worked for me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so what was your biggest accomplishment as your
Oh
own
man.
flyer here?
I mean, it's so competitive here, but the only thing I would say my biggest accomplishment is probably just my first year flying and back in '98 when I was just
Mm.
a rookie in the sport and I won like a champion bird award. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. I mean, not knowing what I was doing, just
Wow.
following what my
That's
mentor
called
told me.
beginner's luck.
Yeah, I mean, I just did what he told me to do, and I did it every day, and just
There
kept
you
it at
go.
that. So,
There you
but
go.
I won. I'm not saying a lot, but I won plenty, trophies where I said, I did okay in the sport, I mean, when I
Hmm.
was in it. So,
Yeah. How big is your club up there? Like how many people do you fly against typically?
oh man, let's see, there was like five clubs at one time. I'm not even sure, but right now there's probably three active club, and each club maybe got 15 or 20 members, maybe.
Okay.
You
All
know what I mean?
right.
So it's not that big anymore, but that's how the sport is everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've talked about that on the podcast before,
Yeah.
for sure. So
Yeah.
sad to see it kind of having the same fate up there in Minnesota.
Yep.
But it is what I mean. It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about it. It's just people have too many other things they can do today, and the internet,
Yeah.
and just
Yep.
nobody
I
wants
mean,
to.
it's gotten better because I it's gotten better because there's more younger guys joining the club now, but it's just trying to keep them in the club is the problem. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
even with the one left race here, and I got guys that's backyard guys that's got good pigeons, but they
Hmm.
just don't club fly, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it opened up my eye. There was way, way more than I thought there was. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
No, there really is. I mean, the clubs are dying, so a lot of people don't have clubs
Right.
to fly in. My club here, I mean, I think we have 8 members or 9, but maybe only 5 or 6 fly each season. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm doing all this work to, beat 4 people, you
Yeah.
know, and,
Right.
for me, it's much bigger thrill to go win a one loft race because, hey, there I compete against, 300 people, or whatever. And
Right.
I can't get that here.
Yeah.
I just can't. And so I understand their position. And then a lot of the younger people have full-time jobs, right? And families.
Correct.
And they don't have
Yeah.
time to train birds. And like tomorrow morning, I'm going to be up at 6 o'clock driving 70 miles away, training my old birds. And,
Right. Right.
people don't want to do that. I mean, I'll be gone 3 hours tomorrow.
Yep.
It's tough. In a one-loft race is easy. I can just have a shed in the backyard, breed a couple pairs of birds, send them to you, and you do all the work.
That's
Right?
true. Yeah, I
Um,
think that's why it's keeping the sport alive for some of us, you know. So
yeah.
when they say that one off is killing the sport, no, it's not. You know what I mean?
No.
It's good all the way around for guys that can't fly, for all the pigeon business that sells, products to feed to
Yep.
anything. We're keeping that alive. So, everybody's got to support everybody. You know what I mean? It's
That's
a
right.
full circle kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
That's absolutely right. So you said you weren't a strain guy. That implies you are now.
yeah. Um,
So what tell us what's in Mr.
oh
Shang's
man.
loft out there, personal
Well,
loft.
I mean, I don't win one off races. I do send them there. I scored a little bit of money here and there, but
Join the
for me,
crowd.
yeah, for me when I was club flying, I mean, even now I got some Leo birds that I acquired that's just been phenomenal for me.
Okay.
I got a hen from everybody knows Jonah Melka. I got a hen that's inbred to Florian,
Okay.
and
Yep.
she's been. I
Good.
mean, look, every year she's got something good for me. And then
Yeah.
I do have a. I bought a full brother to mix. The one that Mike Gannis has. I got a full brother.
Okay.
He's been doing good for me too. So I'm just kind of, you
Okay.
know, dwindling with that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Do you got any Fast Freddy stuff?
Fast Freddy, you talking about Porsche?
Yeah.
Oh, I do
Well,
have. Oh no. Oh,
there
you
was
talking
a
about? Oh, I know who you're talking about.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
I don't. I don't have none of those.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, I
okay.
think I know who you're talking about. I don't have any of
Yeah.
those birds here.
Because they're up in your neck of the woods, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yep.
That's
Um,
what I thought.
like we say, right? Everybody's got their own taste, and
Hmm.
I like to fly against other people's best, and they like to fly against my best. So
Yes, I
it
know.
won't be competitive. I got the same stuff you got, and you know me,
I
right?
know.
So
I've
yeah,
had club members here offer me some of their better birds, and I'm like, no, I'm okay. And it's
yeah,
just because I don't want to like I want to beat them with my stuff, not
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's not a knock on the
competing.
guy's bird. It's just
No, not at
so
all. Not at all.
right,
It's just I
right.
would prefer to go my own way and then beat them,
Yeah,
that
right.
way. But
Everybody's got their own cup of tea.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Got any
Right.
Baldwin stuff up there?
You know what? I don't actually.
Really?
Yeah, I don't have any Baldwin birds.
Okay.
I know they do a lot. Baldwin's
Yeah,
got good birds.
of
I mean,
course.
like I said, it's just I don't have any.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
you know,
Interesting.
yeah.
Got a favorite color?
If I like pencils.
Really?
Yeah, I like pencils. Yeah.
Well, then you need some Baldwin blood. Then you got pencils.
Yeah. I mean, I like pencils. I like how they look. I mean, they can always look like a blue bar, but they're not. They're almost like a blue check, but they're not. So
Yeah, yeah, they're kind of right in between.
yeah, I like
Yeah,
pencils. Right.
that's good. That's
I don't
good.
have any, but I like them.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and now that we've learned a little bit about you and your path in the sport, bring us up a little bit more to speed here. As you've alluded to, we haven't mentioned it yet, but you do run a one loft race called the Minnesota Classic.
Correct.
Why did you decide to take that
Well,
leap and go from club flying to not only, participating in the one off sport, but actually owning your own race? What was the lead into that?
oh man, it kind of happened with a blink of an eye kind of thing. You know, I retired from my electronic job I've been there for 25 years. I retired from that. And then I went on to help my brother, run we had 2 restaurants, and I went to help my brother do that for a couple years. And I was still actively club flying, but I wasn't doing as well as I want because I had to spend a lot of time at the restaurants and all that,
Yep.
And I said, I talked with the guys that was close to me and said, hey, what do you guys think if I could do this? You think it's a good idea? And then I kind of talked with the wife too, because obviously that's money that I'm leaving on the table, off the table, is however you want to say it. So it just kind of went from there, and I slept on it for weeks and weeks at a time. And I said, if I can just get 200-300 birds, I'll be okay with that, and help my wife with financials and all that. And my wife's like, you can do it. Every year you fly 100+ birds every year, you do fine. And so I was like, all right, let's take a shot at it, and then talk to the guys, and we kind of worked on how we want to do it, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. And then before you know it, I was just paying fees for this and that and this, and then had to renovate my whole loft to kind of accommodate for it.
I was just going to ask you, did you just renovate an existing loft, or did you build a whole new loft specifically for the one loft race? Now, originally.
Well, originally I had my flying loft. It was like a 16 by 60 loft.
Oh, that's.
And then half of it was young birds, half it was young bird, half it was old birds. But I had to gut the whole thing out, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I took all the nest boxes out, all the box perches out.
Okay.
And then put this, V perches up. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So.
Gotcha. All right. So, what was the first year you had the race? What year?
First year was in 2024.
2024. Okay.
Yep.
And how many birds did you get that year?
Oh man, I think I got, if I remember correctly, like 340 or something like that.
Ooh,
Not
bad for one first year.
Yeah, I think a lot of the locals kind of helped me out. You know what I mean? I'm for the one loft, I'm nobody, right? First year nobody knows you.
Yeah.
The local guys, they know me obviously, but so I got a lot of local support, and kind of built from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's actually a really good entry for a first year. I know a lot of guys that won't fly one lofts in the first year. They just have a standing rule. They want to watch you, and see what you do. It's a big risk to go into a new one loft because you don't know how are they going to train, how are they going to manage health, how are they going to do all the things that are necessary to get the birds ready and to be successful. A lot of them end up losing an awful lot of birds the first year, just because they don't know what they're doing per se. But you have not had that experience, right? Do you know what your numbers were on the first year? Like what percent went to the final race? And all
man. I mean, I did the math on that, just to kind of show people. I think we were like in the low 90s every race. But
amazing.
But then again, that's you could say if it's luck or if it's just had a good year, right? So
yeah.
I can get hit with anything. I had bad tosses, I had bad races, but the percentage was there. Return was good, but you got to be a pigeon guy and kind of understand it a little. I'm not saying that.
That's right.
You got to know a little. You got to know pigeons, right? So
exactly, yeah. You got to be able to walk in that loft and realize, man, the birds are off. Something's off, or you just got to have that innate kind of sense, of the flock. And non-pigeon people will have no idea what we're talking about, but pigeon people know. You walk in your loft and you have a sense.
Yeah.
Hey man, something's not right in here. The birds aren't acting right. Something.
Yeah.
Is there a snake in here? What's going on? Like you can feel it, and it's generally pigeon people are like that. Well, that's great. All right, we're going to take a little break, quick to hear from our sponsors, and then we'll give Shane a minute to rest, and we'll be right back after the word from our sponsors, guys. Stay tuned for another segment of the Racing Pigeon Podcast. We'll be right back. All right, pigeon people, listen up. And yes, I know you're out there. If you're tired of your birds giving you that, you could have upgraded me by now, look. it's time to visit rpauctions.com. This is the hot spot where racing pigeon breeders buy, sell, and outbid each other like it's the Super Bowl of feathers. The site's easy to use, the birds are top notch, and the bidding gets, let's just say, intense. So do your loft a favor. Head over to rpauctions.com and find a bird that won't judge you every time you walk by. All right, welcome back, everybody, with another segment here of the Racing Pigeon Podcast with Kevin. And so we are again joined by Mr. Shang Vang, who runs the Minnesota Classic One Loft race up in the great state of Minnesota, the cold state of Minnesota. So Shang, we heard about your first year and it was very successful. Tell us about year two then, 2025's edition. How many birds did you get? What were the races like? What were your returns like? Were you happy with 2025?
Yeah, overall I was happy. I capped it off at 500. I didn't want to overwhelm myself. I always said from the beginning I was going to take baby steps. I didn't want to be the guy that, is going to max out my loft and take 1,000 birds. I had there's a process to learn to everything, right? So I kind of just maxed it out at 500. I got those numbers, and I think overall the return was pretty good as far as the races went. We were still in the high 80s, low 90s every race, so we were still doing pretty good. So we had a good year, but it could always be better. I had one bad toss that year. It was,
I remember.
Obviously, hey, when you make a mistake, you gotta own up to it, and I did that. And
Did.
and then after that, the birds kind of recouped a little bit better. Weather got a little bit better, so we did good overall in 25.
Yeah, I remember that race. Full disclosure, I had two birds in your race last year, so I do remember that tough toss. Both of mine made it back, so I was fine. But I know you had to do a little reset then, bring them back to I think 40 miles and kind of get them confidence built back up again. And you did all the right things and you owned it. And that's what I applaud you for. A lot of race managers would say, "Oh, it wasn't my fault, the weather," but you owned it and you learned from it. And that's the sign of a good one loft manager, is to learn something every year. Because like you said, you can always do something better, right? And us breeders, we aren't in your shoes. I mean, we should not second guess you. You are there. You are with the birds. You live there. I don't know the Minnesota weather. I don't know your terrain up there. I trust you, and I think you do a wonderful job, or have been doing a wonderful job. So at the end of 2025, you made an announcement. And what was that regarding the race?
Oh, well, a lot of people wanted another race, a longer race. So this off season, we decided to add a 300-mile race in. To kind of, people want the young bird tested. So obviously I added that race in, another 300-mile. And then just to get a little bit more incentive, I'm going to pay out starting from the 150 all the way to the finals. Ooh, so there'll be some money in every race to be won. Right.
Okay. All right.
And then we also added a color bird category, because a lot of people do send in color birds, and might as well give those guys a little bit of incentive on top of that too as well. So
okay, all right. Is the color bird is that extra money, or is that
okay? Yep, it's extra money. And then we had thought about having breeders pay the same time the purchase was coming in, but we say, hey, it's our first year. Let's do it. If they make it back from the activation race, then you as a breeder can send that extra 100.
For the color bird. Gotcha.
Yes, correct.
But even bigger than that, I think something went on in the loft, correct?
We added I added a back section to the loft, an additional I think I have a little bit over 15, but 1,500 purchase is our number this year.
Okay.
Whether we hit that or not, it doesn't matter. But there's room there.
Okay.
I left a lot of guys out in the race last year, so hopefully they can get in.
Yeah.
But then again, there's more birds, there's more work, there's more, more issues will come up. So
for sure. Oh, and do you have a trailer big enough to handle 1,500 birds? If you get that many and everything.
Yeah, I think each level. I mean, last year I only used 2 levels, and the birds got way more than elbow room in there. I mean, they were, they had like a foot, 2 foot in between each bird.
Wow.
So I think, I think I could do that, but If
Gotcha.
we ever go bigger than that, then I might have trouble with the trailer. So
Yeah.
we're
Time
good
for a
on
new
that.
trailer.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, that's awesome. So those are exciting things happening up there at the Minnesota Classic. What do you find to be the most challenging aspect of running a one loft race? Is it like
Oh
the
man.
health? Is it the just dealing with people? Like what is the biggest like complaint
Yeah,
about running a
I
one
mean,
loft race?
for the most part, you can't satisfy everybody, right? You might want it this way, the other guy might want it that way, but it's like I can't, we can't all just do what everybody wants. For me, I kind of if I send it to one law race, I'm doing their program, let them run their program.
Hmm.
That way, I think it's less stressful for the managers, and then they're not overthinking things, right? When they're overthinking things, things go wrong for the birds.
Yep. Yep.
But for the most part, it's good. I like to listen to people what their opinions are. That's why we added 300. The guys wanted more racing there.
Hmm.
But other than that, the weather up here, our windows is very short for our Yumber season.
Yeah.
By the end by October, I mean we're looking at short daylights. We could have winter moving in if you know what I mean.
Oh,
Yeah, so
we're still in shorts down here.
yeah. That's one
Oh,
big disadvantage for
yeah.
the Minnesota race. Anything in the northern hemisphere, it's just bad.
Yeah, yeah, for
Um,
sure, for sure. So when do your entries? I know you're accepting birds already. When do your entries close for this season for the
it's gonna
2026
close
season?
on May 1st.
May 1st.
Yeah, is
Okay.
is the closing date, and then like May 10th is the replacement date.
Replacements. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. What is your process when you get the birds? Is there a quarantine? Are they vaccinated? Are they chip banded right away? Can you kind of walk us through that? Okay, I open this box of birds. What happens?
Yep. So most of the time, I get the birds. Say I get birds from out of town. They get here. I just take a picture of the birds in the box right away. Text the breeders, hey, your birds are here. They're safe. Good luck. And then I'll give them feed and water right away because they're either hungry or thirsty.
Oh yeah.
And I'll let them sit for the whole day. I don't want to mess with them. I just kind of let them eat, drink, let them
Oh, that's good.
relax a little bit.
Yeah.
And then that evening, after I feed all the one-off prairie spurs, I'll go. They'll be sitting in the cages I got here,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
then I'll cut their ninth and 10th. I'll vaccinate them for PMV rota right away,
Okay.
and then I'll give them a parasite drop, for lice and mites and all that.
Yeah. On the back of their neck.
Yep, yes,
I
sir.
use
And
those
then
too. I love those.
yeah, yep.
Oh,
And
that's
then I'll
good.
just chip band them right away.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then I put them in the room in the loft, and just that whole week or that group will be one group, and
Okay. Gotcha.
they'll be in a room by themselves, and they're not with the other
Okay.
birds. You know what I mean? Yep.
Okay. And then you'll start trap training them after that, and then eventually
Yeah.
put them out in the frying pan.
For the first week, I think when a lot of birds get here, they're kind of stressed out. Where am I? It's cold. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
I'll let
I'm
them.
sending mine with sweaters this year.
Yeah, I'll let them sit in the loft for a week just to feed them and call them, while I'm
Yep.
feeding them, so they know, hey, it's
Yep.
they know everything. Then the second week is when I try to move them out into the fly pen, not on the netting area, but just a fly pen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then start calling
Okay.
them in from
Yep.
there, and then the
Yep.
following week, which is probably the third week, two and a
Uh-huh.
half, 3 weeks, I'll
Yep.
push them on the netting and trap train them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. All right. So people that are going to send you birds, what should they know? What are some tips or tricks that Shang says,
Uh,
look, do this before you send the birds, or what's your best advice for either like
yeah,
putting them in the box or what do you got?
Yeah, for me, I think it's gotten better this year. There were some years I get birds in a box and they put those dividers in there.
Oh,
Um, for young birds, I would never do that because they don't know how to maneuver around that little tight spot,
mm-mm.
and I think it gets too hot. But we're in Minnesota, but wherever you are, it might be hot down there, right?
Yeah.
But and then on top of that, the vaccination part, you don't have to, but don't vaccinate the week of. You know what I mean? And then, if you do that and I got to give them another shot,
Yeah.
things might go wrong, right? So,
Fair.
and what's the other? The other one is send them older than what you think you're going to send them,
Yeah.
because a lot of people send them and they think it might be the right age, but when they get in that loft, and those birds are shoulder to shoulder, kind of
Yeah.
those young ones, they get shoved out of the way.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So if they
don't
got
be
yellowed,
afraid.
if they got yellowed down on them, they're too
Yeah,
young to send.
right. Yeah, don't be afraid to send them a little older, especially for one loft. I know a lot of people send them. They got certain days, but for me, even the ones I sent to Florida Derby last year, I was loft flying them here already. You know
What?
what I mean? Yeah, I was loft
Oh
flying.
my
I had a
God.
I had a group of birds that I was loft flying,
What?
and then I was like, oh man, I'm gonna do Florida Derby, right? So I took 10 birds out of the birds I was flying here at the house,
Oh
and I
my
sent them
God.
down there. You know what I mean?
What?
I mean, they weren't routing, but they
Yeah,
were,
yeah. Oh
they
my
were old
God.
enough to kind of know how to go through the traps already. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
did
yeah.
that. Is that a good
Oh.
practice? I don't know, but
Yeah. Well, how
um,
they do down there?
I did get two birds in the money in the final race. You
Okay.
know, like
Well, yeah.
200th and 217th or 230 place or something like that.
Hey, better than I
Yeah,
did. My two got lost before the I mean,
yeah.
yeah, but that
So
okay.
yeah,
Interesting. So
my
send
point
them a
being,
little older.
yeah, I think so because once they get here, it's a lot of stress.
Okay.
Um, Everybody knows that. You send your birds
Yeah.
into hundreds or even thousands of birds, it's just stressful.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
very much so. Very much
yeah.
so. Um, what's the biggest mistake that one loft managers make? If you
Well,
had to
I
pick
can't.
one.
If what's one mistake that we make?
I'm not saying you, maybe you don't make it.
No, I can't speak for others, so I'm gonna speak about myself. Uh,
Okay, what is one mistake that you have made in your one loft race?
it's not a mistake, but I think it's a like being impatient sometimes, right?
Ah,
Like
it's one of your weaknesses.
yeah, because you're always thinking, oh, they should be ready for this, they should be ready for that. But
Mm-hmm.
really, it's like, hey, let the birds show you when they're ready for it, right?
There you go.
You can't dictate when, they will
There
tell
you go.
you when, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's
And see,
that's
I
one
think
thing.
that's a challenge because you had mentioned
Yes,
what a small window you have to get
yes,
this race in because of
right.
darkness and weather. So then I see where your impatient, ness is
Yeah,
going to crop in and start saying, oh, "Come on, Shane, I gotta get these birds moving because it's getting cold and these bird." But you have to step back and say, "Wait a minute, are the birds ready for this yet?"
yeah,
I
yep,
know the weather's coming, but what's best for the birds?
right.
So
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
I
The
could
birds
see
will
that.
always the birds will always show you when they're ready to go, right? I had the birds out of the net last year, and they were practically just walking on the ground for like 3 weeks, right? They will get on the lot, but they will just go on the grass and whatever. And
Mhm.
I call a buddy of mine, I was like, "Jeez, man, these birds ain't going right." And they're like, "Dude, the birds only been out there for 2, 3 weeks. Relax a little,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
the following week, I had a group will go up, and that's all it took, and they
That's
all went
right.
up. And, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, you
So
got to wait for them to
yeah, gotta
to
wait,
tell you they're
gotta
ready.
wait.
Yeah.
Um,
Now,
that's why
oh, go
it's so
ahead.
hard to set a
Uh-huh.
final date for a race
Right.
because the birds might be ready a week before you thought they were, or they might be ready a
Hmm.
week after you thought they were. So
Hmm.
you just gotta wait.
That's
So
right. Now, Shane, do you have a lot of hawk issues up there in Minnesota?
I I I do early in the year, but like getting this, once the birds are out and start going, I don't see them anymore.
Okay.
And
All
plus,
right.
I'm wide open, so if a hawk do come
Okay.
by, the birds see them right away and they're out. You know what I mean?
Okay. All
Yeah,
right. That's good. That's good to know.
yeah,
Most one lofts, for people that don't know, most one loft races are in a pretty wide open area. Most of
yeah.
the one loft managers put their lofts like that on purpose.
Right.
Unlike my loft, which has giant pine trees 20 feet away and the
It's nothing
hawks
wrong
hang
with that.
out there. And oh, yes, there is a lot wrong with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But
Hey, I
it's
flew
not
in
my
the cities for a
property.
long, long
So
time. So
not my
yeah.
property. I can't do anything. Uh, all right, Shang. Well, anything else you want to tell us about the 2026 version of the Minnesota Classic? Anything else you just want people to know or?
Well, no, not really. As like I said, we just added in a race. We made the loft bigger. And my race is real family orientated. I mean, the final race here, there's kids running all over the place, right?
Oh, wow.
And I want it to be that way because there's a lot of young adults in where I live, and that's into the race.
Yep.
So it's like, hey, I got to. It's really just family friendly.
Yeah.
So,
I think you have a big spread of food and.
oh yeah, yeah. We'll have some. Like I said, we'll have some Texas briskets and ribs, and then my sister's. She's got her Asian food truck. She pulls up and she'll cook whatever. And
wait, you have a food truck there too?
Yeah. My sister's got a food truck. You know what I mean?
Gracious.
So she'll cook her spread. My brother will do his barbecue stuff, and then you know what I mean. So we'll have a good time. People. If you don't win, I hope you eat your fill, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And have some adult beverages there for the losers.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So, I mean, we got goals for maybe 5-10 years from now, but those are long ways away goals. But for now, we're just going to do this and see where it goes. If the support is there, like I said, to make money, it costs money. Don't think that everyone lost races. Oh, they're making money. They're out for themselves. It's, hey, you still got to do, at the end of the day, you still got to do a good job, because without doing a good job, you're not going to get, the clientele that you need to get to, you know what I mean?
That's right. That's
bills.
right.
So,
do you do it all by yourself, by the way, or do you have help?
Yeah.
Shipping nights and all that? Or?
Yeah, it's just me. Practically just me and my, what is he now, 15-year-old son.
Well, I have one of those too.
Yeah. So he's been helping me. Other than that, the wife and the daughter and my other son, they help with the party. But on a day-to-day basis, it's just me and my teenager son that does it. Okay. So he knows, even if I'm gone for the day, he knows exactly what I need to do. He's pretty good at that. So.
Oh, you're lucky.
Lucky. So it's just kind of me and my son, you know what I mean?
Okay. So real family run show. I like that, actually.
Yeah. And then I'll have, my cousin or Tony, they will come and help me on shipping days, because that's when it's more hectic. I'm chasing birds in and stuff like that. But
I wanted to ask you, when you built the new addition on the loft, did you add anything that's going to make it easier to, on shipping night to maneuver the birds? I know you had a hallway or something that they would go down.
We incorporated that in 2020 last year. I do have a hallway for loading, and then that same hallway is serving the purpose of loading the birds into the crates that we hand scan.
Okay, gotcha. I was going to say, because with that many birds, whoo, man.
The first year I didn't have that, and man, my back was sore.
To catch 300 birds.
But last year, with 300-400 birds, 500 birds, it only took me like 10, maybe 15 minutes to load them all up.
That's the way to do it right there. That's the way to do it. All right, Shang. Well, it was a pleasure having you on the podcast. I hope that if you guys are out there and you're looking for a one loft race, if you still have some birds you want to send out, I can vouch for the Minnesota Classic. It is a well-run show up there. It's a good race. They're not blow home races by any means. I think it's a good working race. I like that you've added the 300 now. So we have 250, 300, 350 final. And I can certainly recommend it wholeheartedly. I think you do a great job up there, Shang, and you'll have my birds up there in a few weeks with their sweaters on.
All right, looking forward to it, man.
All right. Well, thanks again, Shang, and we'll have you on later, and we'll check in and maybe after the 2026 version. If I'm the champion, we'll have you back on.
All right, sounds good.
All right, man. Well, thanks again for joining us, and we'll drop your social media info down below. So we'll link the whether you're on Spotify or YouTube, we'll drop a link to Shang's race down below, the Minnesota Classic. So if we want to follow it along this season, you can do that as well. All right, Shang. Thanks so much. You stay warm up there, and we'll talk to you later.
All right. See ya.
Bye-bye, man. This segment is brought to you by ShowPigeonAuctions.com, the brand new online home for the show and fancy pigeon community. The site is officially live, The doors are open, and now it's our turn as a community to help it take flight. Right now is the perfect moment for breeders and exhibitors to jump in, create an account, and be among the very first to list birds. Every great marketplace starts with a few dedicated people who believe in building something together. And that's exactly what ShowPigeonAuctions.com is aiming to do. If you want to support a platform made specifically for our hobby, or you've got a bird you're proud to showcase, head over and get started. ShowPigeonAuctions.com. Let's grow this community one listing at a time.